All right, welcome back to episode 12 of Voice of the Broken. Not sure how much further this is going to go, but right now I'm vibing with it, so I'm going to keep running. I have a couple things that I want to get into a little bit. First, I want to pose a question for everyone, and this is something that I think that should have asked to the To Be Better podcast, but I'm going to ask it here first because this is a channel for men, and I want men to be honest about what's going on and about their lives. And sometimes that means we have to do a self-audit. We have to look inward and think about the things that we are doing. So for all of the men who watch the channel, I'm curious what you believe your woman says about you when you're not around. And I'm wondering if you've ever put any thought into that. And I don't mean like, does she talk shit? Because in some cases, your women do talk shit. And I think that reflects more who you are as a person and less who they are as a person. And I say that because if they are shitty and you chose them. You're choosing to stay in that situation. You're choosing to not be the man that they are looking for or need, and therefore they tend to badmouth you. I think about this quite a bit because even though Peaches and I are not alone much, I do know that she holds me in a high regard. And I know that when she talks to other people, she does speak highly of me. And knowing that that's a thing, I don't worry about her gossiping, and I don't worry about her talking shit and airing any type of dirty laundry or trying to seek pity or sympathy from other people. She's not trying to turn people against us. I know that when she speaks of us and she speaks of the marriage and she speaks of me specifically, she speaks highly of me, and I do the same of her. And that wasn't always the case in my life. I've had a lot of really shitty situations and shitty people around me, and I chose them, and I chose to stay. And there was a lot of ugliness, but it was a choice. And since this is a podcast that's dedicated to helping men overcome their struggles and tell the stories of men who have been very close to the edge and has success now, I feel like that would be a good thing for you guys to think about for a little bit. So I'm going to pose that question with you guys. Pose that question today. And I want you guys to ruminate on it for a little while and let it sink in, and then think about what you need to do to change to make it so that your woman is talking highly of you and not poorly of you. We're going to just jump into this. I don't know how many emails we're going to get into today. This first one's only 3 pages, and it's simply called Chris' Success Story. I have no idea if there's even anything really negative about it. There's no red text anywhere that I can see, so I'm assuming it's just a quick little blurb. But we're going to jump into it, and I guess without further ado, it says, I saw a video where Chris said he wants men's stories, so here I go. My ex-wife and I got together, and we were together for almost a year before we got married in 2021. My son was born in January of 2021, and we got married in July, and we were divorced in December. That was fucking quick. Did you look for an annulment, or is this just like a quick, that's crazy. And it's crazy that your divorce went through so fast. That's when I hit rock bottom. I tried to fight and save the marriage, but it just wasn't working. That's because not everybody's meant to be together. And I'm not getting into the rest of this. You guys she could have been the right one. You could have been making a whole lot of mistakes. I don't know. But everybody's got it in their head that the person that they're with is supposed to be their forever person. And I think that a lot of people are starting to realize that that's just simply not the case. You can grow with somebody for a while and you can be watered and nurtured and life can be great, but sometimes you grow apart from people. And this idea that that's somehow not okay is a problem. And look, I get it. Nobody wants to hurt another person. And because no one wants to hurt other people, they do things from a shady standpoint. You know, I'm not going to get caught, or I'm not happy anyways, or whatever the excuse that they tell themselves. It's a lot easier to just accept that momentary discomfort of hurting somebody's feelings, to simply be honest with them and yourself. You're doing yourself a great service by doing so because you're protecting your happiness, but you're also doing them a service by not wasting their time. If you are with somebody and they think that you are their forever person and you feel like you don't even want to really be with them, why stay? Why not just sever the ties and move the fuck on with your life? By this time, we had both destroyed the marriage beyond repair. I walked away from everything and gave her the house. And all I took was my car, which I had before we got together, my guns and my clothes. I was giving her support money for our son every week, and out of nowhere, she told me I'm not allowed to see my son anymore. That absolutely fucking crushed me. I was staying with a relative while I was getting back on my feet. Okay, wait, I'm going to skip over that. When I hear that, I see one of 3 situations. Like, my brain instantly goes to one of 3 situations. The first one is always a vindictive woman. You guys can hate on me for saying that if you want to, but I have seen enough of that to know that women get very vindictive when they're hurt. When I was a kid, my mom told me to never trust a woman. Coming from her, I should have listened. 2, you're doing shady shit. Whether you're lying to her, not paying child support, not trying to be there, maybe there's still hurt between the two of you and you're being nasty. Or 3, your living situation's fucked up and that she's not feeling like the kid is safe around there. The issue that I have with all of this, though, is that a woman can simply make that decision and there's nothing you can do about it. Your divorce order should have had clear instructions on the way things were going to be played out when it comes to your kid, which is why I advocate for people to get a lawyer and let your lawyers argue all of that out and make sure that everything is in writing. The divorce lawyer that is a friend of mine that lives in the area actually puts in all of his divorce clauses that you are not allowed to bad talk the other parent to the children. And in doing so can be a violation of court orders and it can bring the case back up and it opens a whole lot of worms, but having that in writing is a good thing. So moving on, I was staying with a relative while I was getting back on my feet. And when I was told I couldn't see my son anymore, I felt like I had nothing to live for. Started drinking and was drinking way too much, 4 bottles of whiskey a day. Damn. Every day for a few months. I drained my savings account of $500 that I had just to buy alcohol. Sold my firearms that I had, which had a lot of sentimental memories, to friends so I could keep drinking. I eventually lost my job because I kept showing up to work drunk and my relative kicked me out. I was homeless, no food, no food, a trunk full of empty liquor bottles and 2 full bottles in my car. My town has a public lake out in the country and I drove out there and parked. I grabbed my whiskey and my weapon, walked out, set in ankle deep water and started chugging the whiskey out of the bottle and just stared at the gun in my lap. After sitting there for a couple of hours, I decided enough was enough and I stuck the gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. This is, he then said, when I checked the pistol, there were bullets in it. Like I had left it. His best friend had pulled the bullets out because he was afraid of what I would do. So you got a good friend there. The amount of emails that are coming in that are people are having weapons misfire when they're trying to do this. Do you think that's an act of God? Do you think it's shitty weaponry? Do you think it's just a coincidence? I'm curious what you guys think that is. I would like to point out that you had a real one in your corner by unloading your weapon like that. So I go back to the car and I drive to the hospital and check myself in for a suicide attempt. After being in a mental ward for 2 weeks, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, rage, and severe anxiety. They released me with a prescription for both. And so there I was with no money, no job, and no life, new disorders to deal with, but I had a clear head. I knew I was skilled with cars and framing for houses. I started doing side jobs and scrapping metal. When I had enough money, I started buying tools and working on cars to get more money. I was showering at truck stops, laundry at the laundromat places, and then I went to a local employment agency and got a job. I was back to work, but still not able to see my son. I hired an attorney and fought to see my son, and a judge ordered her to start letting me see my son again. Fucking good. Since then, I met someone a while later in October of 2022 and have been together for almost 2 years now. And now we are actually living in the house I gave my ex because she didn't want the house anymore. So I took over the mortgage and bills and got everything in my name. We've been living here for 8 months. And just recently, my ex-wife got arrested for the neglect of a dependent. Meth and weed, paraphernalia, child services got involved, and I now have full custody of my son. Dude, good for you. We are living on our own, paying our own bills. I now have 2 cars, 2 big gun cabinets full of firearms, and even bought back the sentimental ones that I had previously sold to friends. And all I can do is sit here and look back while holding my 3-year-old son and just be thankful that you had a friend that removed those bullets from that. You need to send him a thank you card on that day every year. You owe him that. I would actually physically handwrite a thank you card on whatever it is, September 15th of every year, and send it to him and let him know that you are still here and thriving because he was afraid for your safety. It's important when you guys are worried about your people that you actually take steps to look out for them and not just go, not my problem. Now, I strive to be a better person for my son, and I strive to be better tomorrow than I am today. My relationship with my fiance is great. There are things that we're still working on with both of us coming from traumatic relationships, but we are able to grow together and help each other build. My relationship with my son has grown tenfold and still growing. I have now actually been able to come off of the bipolar medicine because mainly it was too expensive. And my medical insurance didn't cover it. But I now have healthy ways to cope with my anger and bipolar episodes so that they don't show as often. I only have severe anxiety when I'm in super crowded areas. Thank you for letting me finally get the chance to be heard. I've never told anyone about my story, and it feels great. Dude, good for you. I love that you came off the medicine, guys. I am very adamant, and I'm not a doctor, so this is purely the opinion of me. I understand that there are people out there who truly need that medicine, but I think a lot of people are just prescribed drugs because it's easier to give you drugs than it is to process your shit. And I know a lot of people are able to maintain their mental health with plant medicine. They're able to maintain their mental health with therapy, a good woman, not self-medicating, not drinking and using depressants to cope, proper diet, exercise, self-care. It's important to know that there are other ways. And I think that a lot of the mental health issues that we have in this country now comes from an inability to self-regulate because we haven't been taught how. And the tools are out there. They are absolutely fucking out there. You can learn dialectic behavioral therapy online on YouTube. It's free. You can find, therapy things on YouTube for free. The amount of help that I've got, I've gone to therapy, done the anger management thing. I've learned all of that shit from an actual therapy sessions. I had a lot of that as, in my early life. The resources that are at your disposal now simply on YouTube is huge. And when people are having conversations that you can apply to your life that are not to you, you are less likely to get defensive, to put up walls, and you're able to go, okay, that relates to me, check that box. That relates to me, check that box. Maybe I can apply this, maybe that doesn't work. And you can start looking for things that you can utilize in your life. And you're a tradesman. You can work on cards and frame homes, which means you're not an idiot, which means you can look for the ways to find the help that you need and do it. So for all you guys out there who are in this position and you are struggling with your mental health, get on YouTube. Tools are there, guys. They're there. Also, the To Be Better podcast may help you out. I'm just saying. All right, going to go to a different email. Moving on to the next email, brother. I'm glad that you got your shit together. I love that for you. I mean that, truly. This one's also called Success Story for Chris, and this one's 4 pages. Hello, my friend. Do you view me that way? Do you actually view me as your friend? I asked that question because Peaches and I struggle with being personalities because the internet has parasocial relationships with us. You guys know us because of the amount of content that we put out, and you have an idea of who we are. And I think that we are more of an idea to people than actual people to people. And I think that shifts when we actually meet people in public because this is who we are. We are our authentic selves on here, and we give you guys who we are. Like, we're not sugarcoating things. Which is why the meet and greets are so fun for us because we get to actually interact with people, and it's very exciting. Video gaming with people on our Twitch stream, that's also fun. But it makes us real to people. Cut that. It makes us real to people. To think that people hold us in a esteem where you would actually use my friend is wild to me because there's absolutely a difference. And if you view us that way, that means that if I called at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would answer your phone. And I don't even know your name. But if you would answer my call at 3 o'clock in the morning, I love you for it and I appreciate it. All right, moving on. When I saw your Instagram post about this, I had to jump on. Massive respect for you and your wife. So the story goes, back in 2018, I met a woman who I was head over heels for. Loved everything about her, the way she walked, talked, her personality, and her constant resting bitch face. We made TikToks on the daily. We were becoming kind of popular with approaching 100,000 followers. That quickly got shut down as I noticed a difference in her. No touching, no intimacy, and no goofing around. Mostly irritability on her part. But I know now by looking back on some of those videos why she may have gotten upset with me. Moving ahead to 2020, our text went from all day, every day, with a quick reply to 2 to 4 hours in between texts. The excuse was she was at work. I said that isn't the case because we have been texting the past 2.5 years like this. And one day we were texting and having a decent conversation, and she took forever to reply. I asked her if she wanted me to move out. She replied with, what about insert son's name? ? I said, I don't know, and I'll talk to him. I'm assuming that's from the Wizards. The following week, as an end to the relationship, while I was packing, I wanted one more night to hang out with the kid. I had a fun idea of making a blanket fort camp in the living room. While waking up in the early morning hours because of back pain, I sat in the recliner and I looked at my now ex-girlfriend. I do not normally do this, but I had to know what was going on because she wasn't telling me anything despite me asking. I snuck over and looked through her phone, and my heart fell out of my ass. Screenshots, pornographic GIF videos that she never sent to me, messages confessing undying love for one another. After we split up, I connected the dots. I realized all those times of going grocery shopping over in a town that was about an hour away was the same town this man lived in. Never wanted me to come despite my offer. Always took hours to go grocery shopping. Came home with little groceries. Things were said and I regret them all. I should have left and moved on. Cold turkey, so to speak. I didn't though. I wanted to work things out. She hated the content creation side of me. I wonder if that means that your content creation side of you was not authentic. I am going to touch on that, and then I'm going to move to this other thing. Speaking of content creation, because this is a podcast, the reason that we still do this is because it helps people. That's it. I have removed as much from Peach's plate as I can. So that she can sit down and do emails and record and make her TikToks when she feels like it. And we're trying to continue the brand in that aspect. But she struggles with the content creation side of things. She doesn't like being in the public's eye. She loves getting the emails. She loves seeing the you've saved my marriages. There is a true fulfillment that comes from the help that we are giving people. But there is an ugly side of all of this. There has been death threats. There is constant hate and negativity thrown her way. People who are calling her stupid, slave, gender traitor. You're an idiot. He's using you. He's a narcissist. The amount of ugliness that she gets is insane. And it's very difficult for her sometimes. So I'm curious if the content issues that she's having is something similar to Peach's, or if it's because you were a different person than who you were putting on the internet and it made your relationship feel disingenuous. Moving on. You said, I was always making a TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook video. So after the breakup, I felt hopeless. I wanted to die. I was very depressed. I barely ate. I dropped weight like mad. My meal was bottles of water. That was it. I was 225 and dropped to 185. I moped around, didn't get off the couch. I watched relationship coaches on YouTube, obviously before you guys. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I shut myself off. My personal hygiene took a decline, stopped shaving, showering every couple of days. Just not good. Why didn't you go to your social media? Oh man, how much of this do I want to get into? Peaches and we've had a couple of very big discussions. And by big, I mean like life-ending discussions. In the event that things happened, anything happened. If I got hit by a bus on my motorcycle riding to the studio, how would things play out? And I have spoke to Sean. For those of you who don't know, that's my best friend. We work out together every day, and he's like a brother to me. He was the bigger guy with the tattoos on his face that was in the conspiracy video that we did on YouTube for To Be Better. In the event that I cease to exist in any way, shape, or form, she's taken care of. The podcast is something that I would like to see continue. And I know that that's going to be difficult for her. But I think that there's an opportunity there to set herself up for the rest of her life if she was to continue making content through my demise. I've set it up so that Sean owns some of the businesses to help her to help her navigate things. We have enough people in our Discord community now that editing would be taken care of. She would be able to literally just sit down, record, and send everything where it needs to go. She would have full access of all the bank accounts, everything that I own would basically just shift to her. And there's a lot of security in that. But knowing that we have the relationship that we have, in the event of a death, the content creation from her would be huge because she would be able to speak on the grieving loss of a husband and a loss of the relationship that we have, and what it would mean going back to work full time and having to do more than she's doing. And there's a whole lot of things that would benefit a lot of women out there if she continued doing it. And that is my wish. And we've talked about that at length. Part of our prenuptial agreement stated that everything that I owned going into the marriage is still mine, but everything that we create together, our marital assets, would have to be split. And in the discussion of the podcast, I don't believe that we would be able to continue this if that happened, but I think that there would be a market for that as well. And the reason that I bring this up is because if you had almost 100,000 followers on TikTok, so what I was saying was, sorry, I had to, Peaches is doing gardening things and asking me questions about spray paint. So with what you had, almost 100,000 followers, and people knew about your relationship and you guys were making relationship content, you would have had an ability to move into content about breakups and healing and a self-journey process of going to the gym and doing the work to like fix yourself. There is a market for that. There is a market for men's content that is not simply fuck women. That's not simply the dating game is a cesspool, right? There is a lot of men out there who crave hope. And if you would have documented your journey from breakup to, I'm assuming, your success, because this is what this is, you could have built a pretty big following around that, assuming you're charismatic and you're taking care of yourself and you're reading and having intelligent conversations. I think some of the things that are important to know for anybody that wants to do this YouTube thing or content creation in general, it's really fucking hard. And there are things that are important. First of all, your charisma matters a lot. Your physical appearance matters a lot. And then your ability to relate to an audience and how you articulate yourself matters a lot. And then beyond that, it's luck. It's a matter of getting seen and having people actually relate to you, what you're doing. All right, moving back to this. Since that breakup, I have never felt at home. I think that you guys may have just gotten a notification, a sound, because I think that there's still something on my laptop or on my computer over here. So if you guys got a notification just now, I apologize. Since that breakup, I have never felt at home. I've never felt peace. I felt everyone around me was not to be trusted no matter what it was. That's because you did not do the work on yourself. Started doing things that I enjoyed, such as reacquainting myself with music. That has always been a passion. I do run and own my own entertainment business. I'm a DJ. Business is good. I did meet another young lady in 2021, but that did not last because she had severe narcissistic behavior. I believe that. She fought with me over the dumbest reasons, made me feel very small as a man, blaming me for things that were not true. So after that relationship ended, I picked up the outdoors. I started going into hiking and camping. I very much enjoy being in the middle of the woods on trail. There's nothing like sitting around a campfire, hearing the peepers at night, making some good food over a fire. I find that when I'm outside, I am the best version of myself, caring, compassionate, and understanding. The heart wants what the heart wants, brother. Some people really fucking just need to be in the wilderness. My mind freezes itself, and it's a way to empty your brain of all of the toxicity that comes with life. Like I said, I have a YouTube channel. I film these hikes so people can experience my hikes and my camps with me. I also use social media like a free form of therapy. I've done that. Vlogging really fucking helps me process my shit. I also use social media. Okay, I just read that. During my hikes and my camps, sometimes I will talk about what's going on in my personal life that is bothersome or even something that makes me happy. Sometimes people comment, but most of the time not. I just enjoy talking about my life, whether good or bad, and getting things off of my chest. It's been a very real outlet for me, and I'm very happy. Every time I finish the trail, I am healthier. I'm more confident. I feel more accomplished. It's like setting a goal and then accomplishing that goal. It's a victory, bro. These are the victories that you set. It's no different than going to the gym. Moving on to September 2023, I decided to get together with somebody I've been hanging out with on and off. It has been one of the greatest decisions that I have ever made. Because this woman treats me very well, she keeps my house clean, and I do help. She makes me dinner, and I make her dinner. So you guys are doing the team thing. She washes the dishes, I dry and put away. We never go to bed angry. We always kiss and hug. I tell her how much I care about her very often, as well as show it with date nights. Nights at home, cooking up some good food with a couple of drinks and a movie. Sometimes I shower her with gifts just because I want to. I'm seriously the happiest I have ever been in a relationship. I've often said that our relationship is 98% joking and laughter and the other 2% serious conversation and discussion, communication and discussion. It's nice to come home from a day at work and not be blamed for something. It's nice to come home to a hug and a kiss and a how was your day? What do you want for dinner? Takes off my socks for me, and sometimes she'll even massage my feet. That's never happened to me before. She has proven to me, where was it? She's proven to me that there are still good women out there. I've always wanted a relationship like my parents, who will be married for 50 years, July 27th of 2024. Sadly, I am 40, but she is 38. We probably won't hit 50 years. I think good. I think that's not an unreasonable number, dude. That would put you guys at 90. That's not an unreasonable number with technology. But it's nice to know I finally found my person. Thank you guys for doing what you do, and I'm really hoping that we can get a meet and greet sometimes. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and remain good to each other. Well, we will be in Tennessee at the end of July. There will be, if you're part of our Patreon community, you will have access to our location. We will be announcing it soon. We'll be going, it's already been announced. People know where we're going, but the actual where the meet will be has not. Gonna do one more, and then we're gonna wrap this up. We're 30 minutes in. This one is 16 pages. Holy shit, this one is 16 pages. Fuck it. Let's run it. This may be a long one, guys. This might be a whole lot of. Wow. All right. Yeah, we're running this. The first sentence of this says, I am here today thanks to all of the awesome wisdom you guys have shared throughout your podcast series. Now, does this mean you're here writing because of what we sent, or you are actually still here because of our podcast? Because we've gotten those emails, and it's humbling. I'm still in the process of getting caught up, but I am grateful you came across my Facebook reel. Shout out to AJ, our YouTube editor and Facebook manager. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even have a Facebook page. But I am grateful that you came across my Facebook reels. Today, I am not asking for publicity, and you don't have to use my name or show any of the photos I provide, but I hope this story can stick with someone out there, and they can see how much it means to themselves. How much it means to themselves. The people around them, and most importantly, their mothers, fathers, and children. To be alive for those reasons is one thing that keeps me going. Anyways, enough with that. I will explain with detail, the details of what I feel made me want to take my life and what has inspired me to continue living and doing it confident and proud to be who I am. I am not going to say your name. I am 27 years old from SLC, Utah. I can't wait to go to Utah. That's going to happen in the next 10 months. It may happen in the next 7 months. I want to go to Utah when it's cold outside. I'm not trying to deal with y'all's desert, but I want to experience Moab. Yep. I was born and raised here. I am a male, and I identify as such. With that being said, the story of what led me to my unaliving thoughts and events starts now. At the ripe age of 16, I was drinking and partying with friends, drinking frequently. This eventually developed into a drinking habit, complemented with some drug use, specifically oxy or hydros. This continued as a hidden addiction for my friends and family for years. This was a living addiction that I was semi-functional with, attended school, attended a job, and assisted my mom with bills up until she met a woman. To respect her nesting part of life, I moved out even though I wasn't asked to. I moved into a roommate situation, and I did my best to hide this addiction from the roommate I lived with there were also my friends, childhood friends. All of us were very happy besides myself. I was happy on the outside. I would say the life of the party in 99% of the cases. The man of 1,000 nicknames due to my behavior of seeking attention through foolish behavior and jokes. Although I seemed to be the center of attention, it was not in the ways I wanted it. It is important for me to address that when you guys have drinking problems, alcohol is a depressant. And if you are already depressed, drinking is the last thing that you should be doing. So moving on, because it was short-lived and eventually I felt as though I would get brushed to the side as the nights went out with parties and hangouts, the drinking and drug use moved with me when I moved to my own apartment. Okay, cut that. Because it was short-lived and eventually I felt as though I would get brushed to the side as the nights went on with parties and hangouts. The drinking and drug use moved with me. I moved on my own into my own apartment. In this apartment, I met my ex-wife. I won't disclose her name for the sake of her privacy. I would continue my drug and drinking habits with my wife while she was present. While meeting her, I worked at a company where we helped allocate and transport alcohol throughout the state. I will also leave out the name of the company for liability purposes. Yeah, we don't need all that anyways. I was a top worker and worked my ass off to be the number one picker on the charts, moving loads and loads of stuff. I know this may sound irrelevant, but this is a major part of the story due to my being so fast-paced and super effective with my work. I became comfortable and cocky, reckless per se. With that being said, I landed myself in my first accident on a cherry picker, throwing it completely sideways in an aisle due to the bottom rails that the wheels sit on, smacking the corner of a plastic pallet. The impact of 12 miles per hour with me being about 14 feet in the air attached to a locking harness twisted my back and also took the wind out of me, knocking me unconscious. I was more embarrassed for some reason after this had happened, but also dazed and confused as it happened so quick. I understand that embarrassment. I have been extremely injured, and my embarrassment has tried to make me walk it off so that I could get away from people that saw me get hurt because of the embarrassment. That does not serve you. I promise you that does not serve you. Did not serve me. I was quickly sent to the hospital on a stretcher due to numbing from my waist down. Later that night, I was told that I had herniated my lower spine. Not sure of the specifics of which vertebrae it was, but I know it sucked rehabilitating for months. Yeah, herniated discs is a bitch. To the point that I picked up on my alcohol use. I was even prescribed the drug of choice with essentially a limitless supply and was told to take as needed. I abused this along with the alcohol. I was still with my soon-to-be wife at the time, and she was pregnant, unknown to both of us. When my wife had taken a pregnancy test, I found myself in one of the worst positions of my life at the time. I forgot to mention my father moved to Arizona to live with us in our 2-bedroom apartment, which wasn't a problem besides he didn't really take care of his health. He was diabetic, eating disorders. After finding out my dad was moving in with my girlfriend, soon-to-be wife, being pregnant, I had to choose if I wanted to continue using or if I wanted to continue life without addiction. I ultimately made the choice of quitting. I slowly, and I mean slowly, took myself off of both drinking and using opioids. And with that being said, I've been sober since July 7th of 2018. That was the first full day of sobriety. 0 alcohol consumed, 0 drugs consumed. Meanwhile, I was also still doing rehab for my pain, getting medication as prescribed from my doctors, but disposing it at the nearest pharmacy with the mention of, I am an addict. I can't have this. I was sober when I got married, and I was also sober when my child was born. I have maintained my sobriety even during my unaliving situation. Wow. Good for you, man. Good for you. I had similar issues with drinking and pills. Not to the point where like the pills escalated into anything heavier, but I had a situation that almost killed me. Had a lot of really scary situations that happened from all of that shit. And I'm not proud of any of it. I'm really not. But knowing that I have an addictive personality and that I obsess over things has been the reason that I have allowed myself to have a 3-drink limit per week. And because I have that limit per week, I very rarely ever use that limit of 3 per week, but when I do drink socially, I can have 3 and then just not drink again for quite a while. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying I like whiskey. I'm a bourbon collector. I like the flavors of it. It's a hobby for me. And most of the time, it's a hobby that my friends end up drinking when they come over and play Dungeons and Dragons, or we're playing poker, or just having a social gathering. I let them drink my booze, and then I go hunt for bottles and I collect them, and then they drink my booze. I normally won't have more than 1 drink unless I'm out doing something. So let's fast forward to 2020. My wife and I agreed to separate due to us not understanding each other when communicating, also not knowing that she had undiagnosed BPD. With the separation came a lustful search in which I landed myself in a new relationship, as did she, and we were happy for each other as our new partners were very compatible for us, and we wished to continue our friendship and co-parenting for our, at the time, almost 2-year-old. The woman I met was amazing, but had something up her sleeve that I didn't realize. It was almost too good to be true. She was a survivor of cancer on her face and had the most wicked and sexy scar on her face that made her look like a fictional babe of a barbarian. D&D reference. I love that. Her attitude matched her appearance. Honestly, she was amazing, and I bonded with her a ton. And to her family, her sisters and brothers, her mom and her dad wasn't really around. To her brothers, period. Her mom and her dad wasn't really around, but I met him a couple times. Needless to say, life was amazing. I had week on, week off schedule, which I still maintain at this time with my daughter and her mother, my best friend. Suddenly, during a coitus situation, Dr. Sheldon Cooper for the win. Big Bang Theory. I love that show. I want to touch on the co-parenting thing with the best friend. It's important to realize that you can have a dope-ass relationship with somebody and not be in a romantic relationship with somebody. Just because you are cool with somebody doesn't mean that you need to be sleeping with them. Sometimes having a friendship is a lot better than having an intimate relationship with somebody. And if you think I'm wrong, do you want to sleep with your best friend? If your best friend was a chick, would you want to ruin that situation? A lot of guys can be like, yeah, I would ruin that situation. I don't know, man. I think that this best friend after a breakup thing, I'm friends with a lot of my exes. A lot of them. Life happens and it moves on. You know, when you're young, that shit is young life shit. And I think that eventually, time heals wounds and people realize that it's cool that we didn't work out and I wish you the best in life and I'm not bitter or angry about it, but it takes time for that to pass. And I think that it's important that you're able to co-parent like that because it being your best friend and you being able to co-parent means that you have, someone who really understands you. All right. Suddenly, during a coitus situation, we discovered a lump in my left testicle. I was immediately worried as I felt like it had a quartz crystal horizontal protruding between the testicle from one side to the other. I went to the doctor immediately, only for them to assume that it could be testicular cancer. The following day, there was a scheduled ultrasound appointment in which the discovery of cancer was indeed the case. I was told that an appointment was based on the severity of the cancer was already scheduled within 6 days from my first appointment. I was one testicle down. Pretty in shock from how quickly things had gone, I continued life with monitoring from my doctors. Had high blood pressure about 2 weeks later, only to find out after more imaging that the cancer had seeded and spread into my lymph nodes behind my left kidney. Well, fortunately for me, they decided that it would be best to do another surgery. They sent me in within a month of my first surgery to get the infected lymph nodes removed. 26, I was told, lymph nodes were removed from my abdomen, considered as cancerous. Looking like a basketball, and 3 hospital days later, I was released. Back to my beautiful girlfriend who continued to take care of me. Again, being closely monitored, she had come with me to my appointment that was scheduled for after imaging. The results of the imaging were worse than I could have ever imagined. The cancer went from my testicle to my lymph nodes and had made its way into my lungs and parts of my brain. The doctors had no choice but to nuke me with chemo. I lost everything. Eyebrows, hair, what I had left of it at least, armpit hair, literally everything. 3 to 6 hour sessions a day for 1 week with 6 days off, then 1 day following, another 6 days off, and then back to a week for 6 months. During that 6 months of me suffering mainly from the visits and seeing a lot of people on their last chance at life, not the chemo, I was very depressed, only to find out after some prying and a huge long list of calls to my girlfriend at the time that she had cheated on me while doing chemo. I kicked her out to say the least, advised her she had 24 hours to remove her stuff from my home or I would leave it on the curb. I was not happy and also not in my right mind. I had a severe case of chemo brain. After completing my chemo, I was cleared of all tumors and was set free of the shackles of cancer, and I have been in remission since late of 2021. You said that this chick had a motive, but you didn't tell me what the motive was. And her cheating on you, though sucks, you need to remember had nothing to do with you. That is a her thing. the wants that she had, the needs that she had. It's not in lieu of you, it's in spite of you, or the other way around. She's not doing this as a fuck you. It wasn't a fuck you to you. She was focusing solely on her. This is a selfish mindset that a lot of people have. And with technology and people being close to each other and like people divulging emotional details, this is why we tell people on the To Be Better podcast not to get emotionally involved with people. Keep your shit private. The moment you start talking about shit outside of your relationship, you've opened a window for other people to emotionally attach, and then cheating happens. I'm sure that none of that helped you with what I just read, but it's going to help somebody, which is why I said it. Moving on. Starting 2022, I decided to put myself back on the market only to find myself in a situation where I was being manipulated and abused physically, emotionally after leaving the situationship, and emotionally. After leaving the situationship, I found myself feeling guilty as if I wasn't good enough for people. That's because you are mentally abused. I found myself feeling guilty as if I wasn't good enough for people. The lack of attention from people, friends, family, and partners was really getting to me. I made the wise decision to take myself to a hospital since it seemed as though I wasn't getting the help I needed from family and friends, even though I was literally asking for help, as the thoughts I was thinking were not safe for my existence. I spent a week in the grippy socks with tons of adventurous people and very unique minds. I read a book series called Emotional Intelligence 1 and 2 during the 7 days I was there. Didn't have much else to do with my free time. Once I was released on medications provided by doctors, I felt free of these thoughts, although I had some stuff to deal with. While being in the relationship with my ex, I got a DUI, which in the state of Utah, the legal limit is 0.05. I blew a 0.053. Yep, this resulted in the suspension of my license and a relapse of my record. All because my ex wanted me to party with her best friend for his birthday. I had a beer to ease the peer pressure, which made me immediately want to go home, as I was supposed to be the DD for the night due to me not drinking. Anyways, this DUI left me jobless, it left me licenseless, and also left me without a will to do anything. I lost my living situation and also lost my vehicle, which I did manage to settle the payment on by selling before it got towed, luckily. Needless to say, I settled, which meant every dollar I had went towards that, leaving me jobless, without money, and now homeless. I'm going to point something out, and you're not going to like this. This is how this should have read. Yep. This resulted in my suspension of my license and a relapse on my record, all because I went to a party with my ex and decided to have a beer with his best friend for his birthday. Not all because my ex wanted me to party with her best friend, because you are a man. You're an adult. That decision was yours. You could have simply said, no, I have to drive. I'm not drinking. And if she pushed, you could have been like, I said no. Shut that shit the fuck down. This need to appease other people, this need to people please, believe it or not, is a selfish trait. The need to people please, it stems from selfishness. Whether you wanted to not see her hurt or not hear her shit or simply people please, whatever the case may be, you made a decision to have a drink, and then you made the decision to drive afterwards. So that DUI had nothing to do with your ex. This is the extreme accountability. I have said over and over and over again with my ex, my previous marriage, that I am only responsible for me. And I've not said a single negative word about anything other than the things that I have done, because I am only responsible for me. The decisions that I have made, the choices I have made, the things that I did in my past lives, in every relationship I have ever been in, my choice, my decisions. I did. What they did is their problem, their decisions. I'm not responsible for that. And if I chose to react to a situation, that's a me problem. I can't blame other people for the things that I chose to do, regardless of why I did them. I could even go as far as to say, well, I was young and dumb. Yeah, I was young and dumb. Still made that decision. She could have been super peer pressuring. You made the decision. She could have threatened to not put out for 2 months if you didn't have that beer. You made that decision. So it's important that you guys take that extreme accountability. Your life changes. Your life will literally change when you start going, yeah, I did that shit. You don't have to be remorseful for your past. You don't have to have regret. You don't have to have shame. You don't have to have guilt. You can simply go, That shit happened. I'm not that person anymore. I've moved past it. If you haven't, I'm sorry. And I'm not sorry because I did something wrong or because of the things that I did then. I have accepted that I did those things. I'm sorry that you haven't moved past it yet. It sucks that you're allowing something that no longer exists to eat at you. It could have been 10 years ago, could have been 2 months ago, whatever the case may be. It happened. Life has moved on. You clearly have not. And I'm sorry that that's the situation for you. I hope one day that you're able to heal from that and you're able to accept that life happened and have a successful future, because you can't change the past. You can't. You may have to make amends, but your past is done. It does not exist anymore. You can take accountability, realize what you need to do to move forward, and start working on having the best possible future you can have. And eventually, one day, your future is going to be your past. And when you look back on your life, you want to be like, damn, that was a hell of a ride, versus, oh man, I regret all this shit. I'd rather have a better ride, you know? Moving on. Well, little did I know that the depression and anxiety and trauma of relationships would weigh on me greatly. So greatly, it would affect my relationship with everyone. I shut everyone out. I only kept my mom as a part of my life and shared and dumped everything on her. Mom kept my phone going so she could at least talk with me. With my medication handy, I thought of what a burden I had become to everyone, that it just felt like all I wanted was the attention. Couch surfing and sleeping outside, lugging my backpack everywhere. I've lived out of a backpack. I know that feeling. You wrote, I went, did little. All right. Let me start over with that. Couch surfing and sleeping outside, lugging my backpack everywhere I went, did little to help my mental situation. I got hung up on the fact that you were living out of a backpack and that I've done that. And that I was relating to you and started having memories and fucked that whole sentence up. While at a friend's house that they had me watching for the weekend, who just happened to be the brother of my best friend, I had taken every pill I had. Within minutes, I lost consciousness, woke up in the hospital. My best friend tried calling me, and he knew something was up because I had mentioned some things to my mom before attempting. I didn't mention that during the time I shut everyone out. He was constantly reaching out to me, only for me to talk to him briefly and then disconnect the call. You were isolating, which makes the depression a whole lot worse. When you guys realize that you can have honest conversations with people, or not have honest conversations with people and just simply talk to them and accept that they are in your life, it changes things. I've often said that sometimes just sitting alone in silence is enough for people, but our perspective matters. If you had they don't want to talk to me, which is why they're sitting in silence, that sitting in silence isn't going to feel the same as if, damn, they could be doing anything else in the world right now, but they're choosing to sit here next to me, right? Your perspective matters. I was in the hospital for 2 days before being transferred back to Grippy Socks. And the same nurses I had met before. This time I spent a little bit longer there and encountered some awesome people and learned even more. I came out of the hospital with a better mindset. Also found out I suffer from catatonic anxiety, which was expressed to me during those times. I essentially lose my train of thought entirely and sit in silence with no thoughts. Is that what that's called? I always called that disassociating. Now I have research to do. When I come to the thoughts that overwhelm me, and I resort to companionship to speak with people. When I come to the thoughts overwhelm me. When I come to, the thoughts overwhelm me, and I resort to companionship to speak with people. Grammar's fucked up there. Whatever. Running through my contact list on my phone, calling everyone when no one answers. Obviously, people have a life separate from mine. Me in a manic state and suffering catatonic state. Thinking I am the most important person in the world. Would ultimately become depressed, thinking people didn't care about me. People cared about me. I just used them as a resource when they couldn't provide me with what I needed. Good for you on that realization, bro. Now for the crazy part. I found myself climbing back into the hole of unaliving myself when I was doom scrolling Facebook and come across your content, specifically you two. Chris and Peaches, I do not recall the specific situation, but I recall it hitting me emotionally in the equivalent of 3 semi-trucks tailgating each other and slamming into me at the same time. I broke down. God was mentioned in the short reel. The content may have been stolen because there was a sand cutting video beneath it. It was stolen content. Though I love that people will do that because they can monetize it. Good for them. Good for them. Fucking tag us in the content. Don't remove our banner. Make your money, get your bag, do whatever you got to do in that aspect, but tag the original creator. When you remove the original creator from that, you're a fucking thief. Like, that's a problem for me. Do the little sand videos or the painting videos or the carpentry videos. Leave the to be better up. Tag us in the fucking comments. I will get in there and comment. Hey, thanks for commenting. Thanks for sharing this shit. Like, I appreciate that. We have a whole fucking army of people now who go on those videos and talk shit to the creators for not tagging us. I love you guys for that shit, by the way. I see all those mentions. There's hundreds of them a day. Moving on, needless to say, I discovered the To Be Better podcast. I discovered all of your content, Chris and Peaches. I have been listening to the podcast as part of a daily routine I have developed for myself. I usually listen to it while getting ready for my day as it gives me the boost I need to handle the day mentally and physically. I have found God in the living Bible that I read daily, or at least keep near me. Not only have I learned that life is precious and it is worth living and using every single breath I have until I can't breathe anymore, I realize that God is important and my daughter is important. Everyone, including myself, and most importantly, myself, is important. I have found a new reason to live, and that's for me and my daughter. She needs me here to learn to create awesome memories and for me to stop a legacy of suicide and bad health from happening to fathers. I found that existence is amazing and that I don't need the attention of anyone else. I have found that, frankly, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. And the new person I am the new person I am becoming has removed so much toxic shit out of my life. Let's touch on that real quick. I have found that, frankly, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. When you remove the need to people please and you remove the need to have somebody say, I'm proud of you, to have your dad look at you and go, I'm proud of you, son, or your mom to be like, hey, I love the man that you are, or your woman to be like, I'm so fucking proud of you, husband. And to just know that you're doing for you, there's a new fulfillment in life that most people will never understand because you are no longer relying on the validation of other people to confirm your existence and worth. I know that I bring worth to the world and to my wife. Do I want to hear my wife tell me she's proud of me? Absolutely. Because I want my wife to be proud of me. I want my wife to look at me and go, I made a really good decision by being with this man. I don't want her to look at me and fucking have resentment or regret or feeling like maybe this has been a big mistake. So in that aspect, I do want her to be proud of me because I know that if she is proud of me and she's proud of what we're doing in life, those needs will be checked. However, I don't need her to validate my existence. And there's the difference in that. I am currently in the best co-parenting situation at this time I've ever experienced. My ex-wife's new boyfriend is someone I consider a wonderful stepdad for my daughter and also one of my best friends. Currently, we do as much as we can together as a family, and we treat everyone as such for my daughter. I've removed his daughter's name for privacy. Thank you, Wizards. I appreciate that. This co-parenting thing, when you guys can live a healthy existence for your children, you are giving your children a leg up that they otherwise would not have. Every person that you have a relationship with in your life gives you something different. Your best friend is going to give you different things than your woman. Your other close friend is going to give you something different than your best friend and your woman, right? Your mom gives you something different than those three. Every relationship that you have is going to fulfill a different need in your life. When you have 4 parents or 3 parents, you now have another person to fulfill a need that the other 2 parents can't. It takes a village. There are people in my life that I can confide anything into, and I'm totally cool with it. There are other people in my life that I love just as much that I would never give that information to. Not because they would use it against me. They could. It's more of me not being able to trust that they can handle that ugliness or that pain, right? So you pick and choose. You don't want to be down upon, right? It could you might have a fear that it could change the way that you're viewed by people. So I think that that's awesome that you're co-parenting with your kid like that. That shit matters to me. Guys, if you are in a situation where you are able to swallow your fucking pride and be civil with your ex for the sake of your children, do it. Suck the fuck up. Be civil. If they can't be civil, that's a different conversation, but you need to do the best that you can. I have included pictures. I take these pictures with very specific intent. that whenever I do, I feel like I am not doing enough. I can reflect on these images and remember that I am accomplishing something that I have a reason to be fulfilled. A little side note, I am living in a free situation. My best friend told his dad I am staying with him while I get on my feet. I have my own room, a great place to park my cars. I have a creek that runs through my backyard and I can fish, trout, and carp, play with my daughter, etc. A nice neighborhood to walk, stay active with loads of friendly neighbors. I asked for help and he made sure to put me in an environment where people I could continue my growth with, which has been amazing. Below I included pictures. I would prefer, don't worry, I'm not going to show that shit. I would prefer them not to be shown in the public. Yeah, obviously. But proof I am alive and healthy. My car that in short terms was traded for the computer in the images. I now have a kick-ass gaming laptop with an even better setup, which my best friend helped supply by offering me money making opportunities. I started my job on May 6th of 2024, and I want you guys to remember this because I plan to send you guys updates on how everything is going 1 year from now. Dude, fuck yeah, send that update. I wonder if I can click that and make it big. It won't let me make it bigger. I'm going to have to look at these from my laptops or from my actual desktop where I can blow the photo up. Damn, that car is hot. Here's the car I traded my computer for. I had a storage at my mom's a value of about $300 after the video card was removed. The car came with no exhaust and no drive line. With the help of my best friend, he said if I did the work, he would fund me to get it fixed. He is a business owner for... I'm not going to say that name. He helped cover the cost of renewing my license and the super sick wheels and tires on the car, along with a donor car, which will be below. It's a Beamer, guys. There's a BMW in this photo. And though there's got issues with it, it's still fucking BMW and it looks nice. That BMW, however, does not. Donor car. It's missing. It's missing a lot. I did a lot of work and researched a lot of forums. I forgot to mention the car was a SULEV car, SULEV. So it came with a sealed gas tank, which was swapped out for a normal gas tank. Thanks for the donor car. I don't know what that is. You look familiar. You look very familiar to me. This is his name, who overcame fear, confusion, and suicide. I am great. I am great. You should have put a period there, bro, or an exclamation point. A comma does not do justice with that fucking statement. God is great. Life is great. Should have been statement. Exclamation point. Say that shit with your chest. I've learned a lot from you both. And I want you to know I suggest you to others often, including my ex-wife and her current boyfriend, who now watch you guys and have improved their personal relationship and their relationship with me and our daughter. You guys leave an impact on everyone you encounter, and I wish everyone knew about you guys. I have also learned new boundaries in relationships, how to be secure and caring. How to be a secure and caring man and father, the do's and don'ts of communication, and I can't even begin to express the gratitude I have that God blessed me with and the ability to see and hear your content, because I think without it, I would have ultimately not accomplished what I have. Love you both and keep you and your family in my prayers. Thank you for that. I am never, ever, ever upset about people praying for us. I know that there are people out there who get butthurt by that, but any prayers, all prayers, you can send that shit my way. God knows we need it. Boy, do we need it. By the way, Peaches, I made a small Gmail that I sent to my ex-wife and her boyfriend to add photos and typed out memories to, so that when my daughter is older, I can give her access to the email and she can go through it. I love that people are starting to do this. You have to make sure that you log into those emails every once in a while, or Google will delete them, regardless of the emails going through. So if you guys set that up, and for those of you who don't know, Peaches and I have, well, Peaches has, I don't actually contribute to this at all, so I can't take any credit other than it was my idea for her to do it. We have an email set up for both our son and our daughter. And when they have really good or really bad days, we email them and we send them pictures. Today was the day that you rode your four-wheeler for the first time. Today is the first time you fell and broke a bone, although nobody's broke a bone yet. That'll be an email. There'll be pictures of them in the hospital and pictures of their first cast and pictures of the cast removal. And it will be a way for them to remember their life from their parents' eyes, not just from a standpoint of their experience. There will be tears involved in that. When Peaches is crying, sending an email letting them know how much that they mean to them, or how frustrated she was at them today because of the situation and how she's trying to cope. It gives a a new understanding of your parents that you don't get until you become a parent. Passed on emails are the photo albums of our generation. The only difference is a picture is worth 1,000 words. An email is actually your words. I love that. I have also printed out everything that has been added and keep it in a book. You guys are awesome. Keep spreading the wisdom. Please. Love you both. Dude, this was a great email. It was as long as it was because of the photos that were attached. That added like 6 pages to the email. But I'm glad you're doing your thing, man. This is dope to read. And like, I've been in that position. I went from being homeless to having to be a roommate for somebody before I was finally able to get on my feet. Sometimes that shit takes longer than you want it to, but you have to persevere and you have to be consistent with the things that you're doing. And if your friend is a business owner or high up in a business and he has an entrepreneurial mindset, maybe you can do something that's going to add to his business and you can become an entrepreneur so that one day maybe he wants to open a second location and you can be the general manager to run that location, and that puts you in a 6-figure career. You never know how that's going to look. I really want to open a coffee shop, right? Like, this is something that I really want to do. I figure I could do it for less than 100 grand. Baller ass coffee shop. Where? I have no fucking idea. I don't want to work it. I don't want anything other than to say that it's mine and to collect a paycheck in the mail and to be able to go there whenever I want and have coffee and hang out and make appearances and all that bullshit. Small investment. Mailbox money long-term, but whoever I decide to go into business with is going to have a business, and that business will succeed or fail off of their efforts. And if they really want it and they want to have financial freedom and a dope fucking life, they're going to do the work. And if they're not, it'll fail. But I'm willing to invest in people that I love and care about to have the life that I believe they should have. And it's cost me a lot of money in the past because this doesn't always pan out. But in the long term of that, I get mailbox money, and in the event that it's a loss, it's a tax write-off because you lost fucking money trying. Do your thing, man. Keep grinding, keep hustling, and I hope that you get everything that you want out of life. I love that you're doing what you're doing, and I appreciate that email. That actually made me feel good. So we're over an hour. With that being said, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that it's given you something to think about, some sort of insight. We'll see if we make it to 20. Don't know. I got to be honest. I don't want to deal with the social media aspect of this at all. And I'm not willing. I don't want to pay somebody else to do what AJ is doing for this content. It's not worth it to me to do that. So this may become a thing where we drop 6 episodes in a week and then you don't hear from me for a couple months, or it could be weekly and then only weekly for video content with no shorts or clips and no promotion. And it'll be solely on you guys to share the content to make this thing grow. But either way, I hope you enjoy what I've done. And, if there's a next one, I'll see you on it.